And we are back with another.
Little old podcast from Pasadena.
I'm Victor Cass, retired police sergeant with over 30 years experience, all with the Pasadena, California Police Department. And I'm here with my partner and co-host.
The historian, Alyse.
And on this podcast, we talk about all things political, cultural, historical, regarding Pasadena and the San Gabriel Valley in Los Angeles, with a nexus, of course, to Pasadena. And I wanted to just kind of start this episode by just clarifying some things from last week. Alyse and I did a recording, the beginning of which had a little historical topic regarding the Ku Klux Klan in Pasadena and some members of the Pasadena Police Department that were part of the KKK. And we put a clip on our Instagram site. The clip, kind of left some things out of context, and it generated a lot of comments, kind of went viral, as Alyse would say. And there was some confusion, I think, from some of the commenters that had left into kind of some negative comments. And I wanted to just point out that what we were talking about in that episode happened 100 years ago. Okay, we're not talking about the Pasadena Police Department today. There is nothing that we said or mentioned, and there is nothing about today's incarnation of the police department that would lead anybody to believe that the KKK or any white supremacist groups had infiltrated or refused within the department today. Today we have an African American chief. We've had ethnic minority ranks at every rank in the department, from chief to deputy chief on down. Ethnic minorities have promoted up to the ranks in every rank level. I was just in that department, over 3 years ago. I served 30 years there, and there's nothing that I ever saw that would lead me or anybody that would give any type of evidence, anecdotal or otherwise, that there was any kind of KKK or white supremacist factions or groups in that department today. And again, what we were talking about was 100 years ago. It involved just a handful of members of the department at that time. And the department at that time did crack down on these officers that were in the KK. So we just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. And I was actually proud of our city and the way that we were fighting off the Klan's encroachment, because, really this was a nationwide movement at
in the
time.
1920s,
in the 1920s. It was not just Pasadena. And I was proud of our city because, unlike some of these other places, like I was reading a lot about the state of Indiana, like Indianapolis was completely controlled by the Klan. They had infiltrated the government, the police force, the churches, everything. And so I was proud of Pasadena for fighting as hard as it did, and not perfectly. I wish that it had done some things better, but we did put up a big fight when it came to the Klan coming and trying
as
to
did
set
our
themselves
department
up here
at that time also. So again, we just wanted to clarify that. And today the KKK is a fringe group that you hardly ever see them using, but back in the 1920s it was a little more prominent, again in its second incarnation. But we didn't want to leave any of our viewers with the belief that we were talking about the Pasadena Police Department today, and we wanted to clarify what we meant back there in the 1920s. Sometimes when you say 20s, we have to remember that we're in the 20s today, so there can be some confusion.
Right.
That being said, because we usually start one of these episodes off with a little rant.
We started with the rant?
No, we start with history. But we're going to segue into our rant, because I know you had a good rant.
Yeah, I want to start with the rant.
And you're also you're a little grumpy today.
I'm grumpy?
She's moody, grumpy.
I want to rant. I'm in a bad mood.
And she found a good one.
And we just had a bunch of technical issues, so I'm just really not feeling things right now.
Oh boy.
Yes, okay, because this started, I think a week ago or so, when I found out that one of my, not my favorite, it's been a while since I've been there, but I have been there many times with my family, and I enjoyed it very much every time that I went, which is Lucky Baldwin's.
So for those of you guys who don't know, Lucky Baldwin's is an English pub, not an Irish pub. We do have a prominent Irish pub in South Pasadena. But Lucky Baldwin's is an English pub. There are three incarnations of it, two in Pasadena, one in Old Town, the original, and one on East Colorado in our Lamonda Park neighborhood. That's the one we're talking about today.
Yes, right by PCC.
Near PCC, that's correct. And I love this place. I like to watch World Cup games there. There's nothing like watching a World Cup soccer game at an English pub. I've been there several times watching the World Cup.
Yeah, it was a great place to go.
Yeah. Good
It's
food,
a nice place. It's not.
good place for
We
a
were
punt.
arguing because yes, a lot of places on Colorado are kind of dumpy, but this
Yeah.
was not a dumpy place. This was a nice place.
So Alyse finds out that they're going to do a construction project, or should I say destruction
A
project?
destruction project.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. There are so many vacant lots all over, not just Colorado, because yes, there are tons of vacant lots on Colorado, but like vacant lots all over everywhere. Why do we need to tear things down in order to build new buildings, first of all?
Yeah. So look, Pasadena is known for having lots of new development. You have a lot of residential condo building all the time. If you were to go down Walnut Street, from about Lake Avenue west toward, Old Town, you're going to see a whole canyon of, 2-3 story residential units, condos, apartments, and some of them are beautiful. They're nice looking, I have to say. But in this neighborhood that we're talking about, where the Lucky Baldwins is, Lamonda Park, this area is it's one of our largest neighborhoods in Pasadena, kind of the centralized area. Picture Colorado from Hill or Holliston all the way east toward, Rosemead, and, north to maybe, the freeway, and south to maybe Del Mar. Most of the area, especially around Colorado, zoned for commercial, industrial.
Yeah.
It's not like a super residential place aside from like 1 or 2 blocks north and south. They have some apartments and some houses, but on the boulevard where the Lucky Baldwins is, I can't picture any buildings. Like maybe PCC is one of the tallest, has some of the tallest buildings in that area. But they're gonna build, what did you say, 7 stories?
7 stories.
Yeah.
Most buildings around there are like 3 stories tall,
Maybe
max.
2 usually, but a lot of them are just 1-story buildings. And to just kind of drop a 7-story building right there where Lucky Baldwin's is, it's going to be kind of a jarring, disruptive.
Not kind of, it will be.
Not only will it be disruptive when they're building this building, but Alyse pointed out that, well, tell us about what type of building it is.
Okay. So these are affordable housing units, and this is not a rant against affordable housing. This is a rant against how they are going about doing it in this particular situation, because it's not just this location where Lucky Baldwin's is. There are 6 proposed locations all along Colorado, on East Colorado, between Allen and Grand Oaks, they say, and then another 2 further down by Hastings Ranch. And the thing is that because they are affordable housing units, they're taking advantage of certain liberties.
So when you build in Pasadena, let's say you're building some kind of residential apartment complex, according to the current laws as I understood them, when you build one of these buildings, you have to have a certain number of units set aside for Section 8. That's different than what we're talking about. We're talking about a building that is going to be all affordable housing, not necessarily Section 8 housing, but affordable housing, whatever that means. Okay. And Alyse and I, we're all for people being able to afford to live where they want to live. Okay. But one of the things that they are being able to get away with by making this whole building affordable housing is they're getting to bypass the normal height requirement. Right? Yeah. There's a height requirement, which they're getting to bypass. And because it's all 100% affordable, they don't have to have the requisite number of parking spaces per unit in this building. Now, how many units is it?
Well, I think the deal was that if you are close enough to public transit,
so that's the other thing.
Only have to build like you only have to give a certain number of parking spaces. With the thinking that like people will just use public transit.
Yeah,
but that's bullshit because everyone uses their car to drive, even low income people. Like that is a fallacy.
Yeah, so if you can picture this neighborhood where this Lucky Baldwin's is, and you picture Allen Avenue, okay, if you go up Allen to where the 210 Foothill Freeway is, that's the MTA station. Well, that's kind of a hike from where Lucky Baldwin's is. So picture, because they claim that it's near a public mass transportation system, they can get away without having the required number of parking spaces per unit. Now, this is going to be an 88 unit building. Correct me if I'm wrong, 88, right?
88 units.
And how many spaces are they going to have?
23.
23. Okay. So can you imagine the disruption to that neighborhood? There's going to be more than 23 people with cars there in that building.
20, like, yeah, I know. Like, people move into 88 units too. So there's going to be a lot more people than just the unit.
If they had two people per unit, 2 adults, and both those adults had cars, where are these cars going to go? They're going to go in the surrounding neighborhood, on the surrounding streets.
And where? Why are they building apartments for so many people when there's not room for them in that location?
So now the businesses, the homes, the single family houses, and the other apartment complexes in the area are going to have their streets and available parking spaces taken up by people in this new development. Okay.
Yeah.
But just the construction alone is going to disrupt the traffic flow and people's lives in this neighborhood. In the 8 months to a year that it takes to build this thing. Okay. It's going to be a very destabilizing, disruptive building, kind of an eyesore in terms of the height and where it is. I mean, look, hopefully it's a nice looking building. Again, Alyse and I can't do anything about it. It's already in the works. Okay. But hopefully it's a nice looking building. And, one of the problems with these kind of like pie in the sky, if you build it, they will come kind of, homeless housing and affordable housing, is that they never work out the way people intended. Okay. Something bad always happens. The math doesn't always math. And
so my theory is that somebody, and let me just clarify, this company that's building all of these is not even from Pasadena. They're from San Diego. They're called the CPR Affordable Housing.
They probably got some big government subsidy to come in, build this thing, really fast, make a bunch of money up front, and then they're probably going to wipe their hands of it, sell it, and be done dumping on somebody.
Yeah, because so apparently Pasadena has a shortage of affordable housing. So this company is stepping in, and that's why they're building all of these developments in order to keep up with it. But like, you're not going to tell me that certain people aren't getting a lot of money by building these things when there's not room for them
in these areas necessarily.
Yes.
Yeah. And what is affordable? I mean, how much is each year? They're not kind of providing the answers to these questions. Who can rent there? How much money do you have to make to be able to get one of those units? How are they going to pick the people that get into those units? What are they going to do about when these people have more cars than there are spaces? So that's going to be a big issue as well. And look.
And then who gets the spaces? Like, you have to pay extra when you're living there to get the privilege of a parking space. You got to go
on a waiting list. There's so many unanswered questions. More questions than answers. And
sounds like they're cutting corners already before they have even started, and it just makes you ask questions about how are they going to treat the people who are actually living there when they move in,
and how are they going to treat the community, the neighbors around the development as well. This is going to put a strain on city resources, police resources, fire resources. As a whole, it just affects every aspect of the city government, the economy, all the way down the line.
So that because I'm like an architecture snob, I guess. I'll admit it, whatever, okay. I'm upset because there was a very cool, I was going to say beautiful, but I know you would fight me for using that word. A very cool wood yard on Walnut and Allen.
Yes, it was an old lumber company. It was kind of dilapidated.
It was the coolest place with a beautiful view of the mountains.
Yes, I'm glad.
You used to be able to drive down Walnut there and like look up at the mountains. He's like, that never happened. I can't tell you how many times I'm driving in my car and I'm also looking at the mountains.
I think when I want to look at the mountains, I don't go to Allen and Walnut, but let's just be real. But again, no one's going to argue that the intersection of Allen and Walnut is one of the most beautiful intersections in Pasadena, because it's not. I will say that since the lumberyard was torn down, they have built a nice complex.
No, I think it's ugly. I'm sorry.
The best
I think it's ugly.
Urgent care.
I would much rather have the lumberyard, because architecture snob, whatever. Okay. I don't think that new buildings are pretty. A lot of them are ugly. They have no charm. There's no character to them. I'd much rather keep these older buildings and fix them up. And
a lot of old buildings have charm. A lot of new buildings have charm. Sometimes they do it right. They build a new building that's going to tie into the old
some
like
new
Spanish
ones
colonial
do.
revival.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
one over by Romans that's kind of
there's a
trying
lot
to
of them.
keep
So
the charm of that area.
Yeah.
But by and large, most new buildings are ugly. They just don't have
Ugly's a
the
strong
charm.
word.
No, they're ugly. They all look the same. They're all bland. It's just they don't do things. They don't build buildings the way that they used to.
Brutalist East Berlin buildings in Pasadena.
They are actually. They are.
No.
Yes, they are.
But anyway, Alyse doesn't
They're
like.
going to on the site of Lucky Baldwin's, and I'm very upset about it. If you look at it, it looks very brutalist. I'm going to show you a picture. You'll agree with me.
All right.
And it's 7 stories of concrete.
All right.
I'm very okay. So they also had the height. The maximum height requirement in that area is 51 feet. Because this is affordable housing, they get to build a monstrosity of 83 feet.
Yeah, well, all right.
There go the mountains for good.
Again, when I want to look at the mountains, I don't go to Colorado and Allen or Allen and Walnut or even where Lucky Baldwin's is. In fact, I'll take where I live.
Okay, I want to look at the mountains no matter where I am in Pasadena. I don't want to see ugly ass apartment buildings.
All right. I just don't know why they just couldn't keep the Lucky Baldwin's and just build around it.
I just want to know why they couldn't build it somewhere where they don't have to build things down and somewhere where there's actually room for all these people. I don't know. Common sense. Call me crazy.
Well, look, there's numerous buildings I would like to see torn down on Colorado Boulevard and Walnut and then have something new built in its place. But again, Alyse and I can differ on these issues, into the weeds of these issues. But yeah, interesting topic. Write your city councilman, woman, congresswoman, congressman. If you ever have, issues with these developments, go to city council meetings, make your voice known.
The concrete monstrosities are on their way.
All right.
All right.
All right, brutalist Betty.
At least you're not yawning anymore.
Yeah, the coffee must have taken effect.
I guess so.
What we should have had was a glass of wine to drink during this episode.
We should.
Why? Because you have something about
a
little history.
I have a
little history segment.
History and wine segment.
Oh,
the best of the best.
Think back to that true crime episode on our true crime podcast where we had wine. But yes, so you have something for us, a little history topic.
I do.
And it involves wine?
Yes. So there was a bit of a scandal in the 1910s.
Well, wait, let's set the stage first. So for those of you listening, California, as you know, is one of the wine capitals of the world. From as far north as near the border to as far south as San Diego, California has some of the finest wine country ever. Even in Los Angeles, the Riboli family and San Antonio winery. Mm-hmm. But who knew that Pasadena, California, once had a very robust wine country?
Yeah.
Did it?
So Pasadena has great wine, but Pasadena at the same time, in its early history, has touted itself as a dry town, as having no saloons, which is not true because we did have some
saloons,
rebels who were like, I'm going to keep selling alcohol because people are still buying it. So as long as people are buying it, I'm going to sell it.
And the reason we have this, look, Pasadena, those of you who know, Pasadena has a long history and tradition of being a very religious city. There are churches of every faith, like on practically every block. And back in the 1800s and early 1900s, the religious factions in Pasadena held sway. Again, very religious. We had blue laws, and we still have an old vestige of the blue laws today. The Rose Parade's never held on a
Sunday.
That's right.
Which was very weird when it happened a few years
ago. Yeah, sometimes it's January 2nd that we watch the Rose Parade and the Rose Bowl game.
That messes with my head.
But yeah, so this religious forces fighting against the forces of Bacchus and imbibery, right?
And when we talk about Pasadena and the wineries, most of these wineries were not in Pasadena per se. They were in La Monda Park, which at the time was kind of like a fringe village.
Right. So back in the 1800s, what we know is Pasadena, the city, is kind of where Old Town is today. And then the farther out you went, while it was still considered kind of Pasadena's environs, it was still undeveloped. They were mostly farmland, orange groves, and wineries.
Yeah.
And our current neighborhood, La Monda Park, was just as big and vast back then. And that's where most of our wineries were in that area.
Yeah, we talked a lot about LJ Rose's
Mm-hmm.
winery, Sunny Slope Winery.
Mm-hmm.
We even had a little old murder episode
That's right. Mm-hmm.
there. Actually, they made several appearances in
They did.
that podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, tons of wineries in La Monda Park, but there were two big wineries that actually were in Pasadena proper,
Right.
if you
It's
want
kind of
to
like a
call
little
it
north
that.
and west of there. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you
Mm-hmm.
remember, we were talking about the James Craig Adobe, the
Mm-hmm.
oldest structure in Pasadena. On his land, was also like Brigden came in and set up his ranch there. Brigden had the Sierra Madre Vintage Company. That was one of the major wine producers. The other was the Golden Park Winery, which also goes by the name the Etienne Brothers Winery because
Wow.
they were founded by two Etienne brothers.
Sound French to me.
Yeah,
Mm.
I know. So this scandal comes in 1910 when one of the Etienne brothers is a member of the Elks Club.
So
If you wanna
the
explain
Elks,
that.
BPOE, Benevolent and Protective Order Elks. Elks is like Rotary or the Lions Club, or these are fraternal organizations. Long history in Pasadena. You may have heard like on TV the Moose Lodge. That's another one.
Mhm.
The Fraternal Order of Eagles. These are all fraternal organizations, usually service clubs. With that history goes way back to the 1800s in this country. Today, you can find the Elks headquarters on West Colorado, just outside Old Town, across from the Norton Simon Museum. But I guess back in this day in the story,
Mhm.
the Elks were having some national conference or something.
Yeah, they were having this annual meeting in Detroit in 1910. So I'm putting the pieces together, and it seems like Pasadena, the Elks Club, was putting together this basket to send with the
Like a giant gift
representatives,
basket.
like a gift basket
Mhm.
to take with them to this meeting in Detroit. The temperance
Maybe they have
ladies,
cheese and crackers in the basket, some gifts. Who
yeah,
knows
little
what?
little goodies to represent
Jams,
Pasadena,
yeah.
to
Oranges
show
from
what
our
it's
from
like,
our from our orange
infamous
groves.
oranges.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
We have our little temperance ladies. They're putting in pamphlets touting Pasadena as a no saloon town.
Warning of the evils of the spirits.
We are very morally upright here, very religious
Yes.
people.
But apparently the Etienne brothers weren't having any of this.
Etienne brothers were like, wouldn't it be nice if I showed them
The
how
good people of Detroit.
amazing our wine is in Pasadena?
Yeah.
So in this basket with the pamphlets talking about Pasadena not being a saloon town were 125 bottles of Etienne Brothers wine with a little label made in Pasadena, California.
Are you talking Cabernet, Merlot? What are we? Who knows?
I don't know. Hopefully they gave a good selection.
Yes, hopefully they had some nice grape blends in there.
And it was a huge scandal, especially because rumors were flying that like the city directors had paid for this wine to be in the bottle. So
Did the
and
18 brothers
maligning Pasadena's character. What was your joke?
Did the 18 brothers need the city founders to pay for this wine?
So the Etienne brothers were like, no, I just gave it for free because like we're really rich.
Yeah, we don't need the city council to pay for anything. We have our own money.
We're pretty rich because a lot of people like our wine because we got the best wine here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so because of these wines, Pasadena became known as like the best town, the best place to get wines from, and everyone was pissed because we're supposed to be a dry town.
The best wine from the driest town. That should be a slogan.
That's nice. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. I think they should make some new wine from Pasadena and call it, Dry Town or something.
Yeah.
Dry Town Cab.
I know.
That'd be legit.
Ooh. You have retired. You have some.
All right, I'm not gonna start becoming a vintner. But anyway, yes.
I could help.
Pasadena always took its dry, blue law, religious history kind of lightly. I was gonna say with a drop of wine. But yes, we've always had our scandals with wine. Even in the 1800s at the Hotel Green with the visit of a president, we had a little wine scandal of our own then too. We love our wine in Pasadena. We love our bars and restaurants. Thankfully, today we are one of the dining, culinary, bar, restaurant capitals of the world. So you don't have to worry about, temperance ladies, warning you of the cursed drink
I know.
anymore.
But, in 1912, Lamonda Park got sick of all the drunkards and everything, and they actually prohibited alcohol. So these two major companies had to stop selling. They could only sell wholesale for a while.
To the saloons.
So they were...
Only the saloons could buy their wine now. That's the saloons we're not supposed to have in Pasadena.
The ones that we don't have here.
They're all in Old Town, even then, by the way.
So they, through the 1910s, these wineries were battling these temperance ladies and all of these things until prohibition kind of ended it all for good. But 1915, one of the Etienne brothers gave the city of Lamonda Park a park so that it would no longer be a misnomer.
And do we still have that park in Lamonda Park? Or is it still a misnomer?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I can't imagine having a neighborhood called Lamonda Park without a park.
Yeah, we have a park at the library there. I know
Maybe that's the last vestige, last remnant of the park.
Maybe. So they said that it was on the former property of L.J. Rose's winery, but that was a massive place, so that could be
anywhere in that whole region.
Yeah.
Speaking of saloons, wasn't one of the saloon owners in Old Town kind of a noteworthy figure in the history of old Pasadena?
He was.
Was he a good guy or a bad guy? I kind of remember him being involved in that Chinese block fire riot.
I need to be honest and say I don't remember all the details, but I am kind of getting the feeling that he was on the wrong side of history.
Why does that sound like a historical topic that might appear next week?
Yeah, I think I need to get some details about this. And actually, you mentioned the presidential scandal too.
That might be one of our topics next week.
So yeah, I'll come to you. We'll have
some good history for you next week.
We're like at 30 minutes already, but I'll come to you with some saloon drinking stories.
Hotel Green.
It'll be the liquor episode, maybe. We'll see.
It's going to be a good one. So anyway, hope you enjoyed our topics today, and we'll be back next week with another
little old podcast from Pasadena.